Whether you are a micro, small, medium, or large scale business, branding and marketing is vital to either scale your business up or sustain your presence in the market. Today, we're going to be looking at a very important topic, which we call branding and marketing for beginners. And I want to encourage you that one, if you're in business, to get your pens and paper. If you know anyone who is in business and you know that they can benefit from this program, I want to encourage you to call them and just let them know that Habits and Money, we are on air. I want to take this time to also thank over 40,000 persons who have subscribed to two of our YouTube and platforms for being there and supporting this platform. I want to say thank you from the depths of my heart for supporting this program. I also want to reach out to those persons who have been viewing the program and you have not yet subscribed to our program. I want to encourage you to subscribe. Why? Because you will be the first to know when we are on air. And as a member of our community, there's so much of incentives that you're going to be exposed to over a period of time. Very soon, we're going to be talking to you about Pathway 5. Now, what exactly is Pathway 5? Pathway 5 will help you to understand what is the science, the theory, and the practice of wealth creation. And you don't want to miss this program. As a member of our community, the possibility exists that we can find persons that will fully sponsor you to learn these programs. The beauty of this program, you not only learn the science and the theory, but you learn the practice. That means that you have to get your foot on the ground to position yourself to start building wealth. And that's the type of community that we have, the kind of community that we continue to build out to ensure that we're adding value to your life. So whether you're in business or you're the average person who wants to accomplish more in life, this is the platform for you. Habits and Money. Now, today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting topic, which we call branding and marketing for beginners. And I have two dynamic personalities in studio to support me with this conversation. I want you to join me in welcoming my colleague, Clement Frank. In the event that you're meeting Clement Frank for the first time and you're wondering, who is Clement Frank? Well, he is an economist by profession. He has lectured at some of the top universities in the Caribbean, and he is about to release his first book that I know will really provide you with a lot of content and context in terms of business and leadership. So do join me in welcoming Frank. My second colleague is Peter Scott, and he is a theologist by profession, and he's also an entrepreneur. What he does, he really works with people to really help them to develop their legacy. One of his signature projects is Legacy Chronicle Human Growth Program, where we focus a lot on helping humanity to be the best version of themselves. So with that being said, I want to welcome both of you to today's program. Now, I want to get to the, how are you guys, first of all?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Oh my! I have a client I was dealing with many years ago. She knows my wife. She would say, "How?" Every time you ask her, she wouldn't say "fantastic." She would say "fantastical," "fantastical." She always put those, swings there. So when you guys say "fantastic," you just remind me of that. Now, today we're going to be talking about a pretty fantastic topic, and that topic is branding and marketing for beginners. Now, I do believe that this subject is so important, and any persons getting into business who disregard the importance of this, perhaps this is another reason why they're going to fail. But I want to begin by looking at how can a beginner position themselves to do well in branding and marketing. First of all, when we talk about branding, it's important that two important concepts must come to mind. One, you have the corporate brand and you have personal branding. And let us talk a little bit about your corporate brand. One of the things that I emphasize is that in building your brand, you want to be certain that that brand has a strong MVO. Now, what do I mean by the term strong MVO? MVO means that you must have a strong minimum viable offer. And what is the minimum viable offer? The minimum viable offer means that you have a product or a service that perhaps is a low entry market point. It may not be a premium brand, but it offers value to your ideal client, the minimum viable offer. It must be strong. Now, what are those factors that influences the strengths or weaknesses of your value offer? Some of the factors that are going to influence the strengths and weaknesses of the value offer is going to be how well it is aligned to your ideal client. So the alignment factor must take place from the get go. Even before you launch this product or service into the marketplace, you want to ensure that it is relevant. So, how do you go about putting yourself in that position of strength to predetermine if your value offer is strong? To collect the right information about the ideal client. So that means you're going to get some foot on the ground to really understand people. What are their needs? What are their wants? What are their expectations? What are their pain points? And it is based on understanding people, their needs, wants, and expectations, their pain point. You now innovate products and services to reach their expectations. You see, when you have the intelligence and you align the intelligence, the data to the product or service innovation, there is where the alignment take place. You see, building a brand should never be about the emotion. I want to do this because I think it makes sense. I want to do this because I see someone else is doing it. You want to do it because it makes sense. It means that it makes sense because you're going to be adding value and fixing problems for the ideal client because you know what are their needs, you know what are their wants, you know what are their expectations. And largely based on this factor, this principle, you are in a much better position to build your brand, a strong brand that is truly aligned to the needs, wants, and expectations of the ideal client. So, a strong MVO, just to re-emphasize this, it is largely you identifying the lowest hanging fruit that you can enter the market with. It's a minimum viable. The alternative to this is that you have what we call the most viable. The most viable now means that you're not going to market with the lowest hanging fruit, but you're going to market with a premium product, a premium value offer. Now, a premium value offer, it is not targeted to everyone in the marketplace. You need to understand the ideal client in which you could innovate premium brands for and ensure that it has whatever you're providing, it has relevance to them. Again, you still need data to inform your decision making process when it comes to building that strong brand. So, as a beginner in business, a rising star in business who wants to be strategic in branding, taking the time to understand the ideal client, and then innovating products and services that reaches their expectations is a vital first step for you to consider. So, with that being said, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to pass control to Frank. Frank, all to you, my friend.
Thank you, Gary. It's great to be here today, and we're talking about branding and marketing. We're looking at it especially for people who are beginners, business beginners, new entrepreneurs. Now, I'll give you a breakdown of each. First, I want to look at branding. And that is a process of creating a unique identity and an image for a product, service, or company in the minds of the consumers. It's not just about having a catchy logo or a memorable slogan. It encompasses everything from your company's mission and values to its visual elements, its tone of voice, its customer experience. A strong brand sets you apart from competitors. It builds trust and loyalty with customers and can even command premium pricing. Marketing, on the other hand, involves the strategies and tactics used to promote and sell products or services. And this includes market research, which will help you to understand your target audience, creating compelling messaging and content, selecting the right channels to reach your audience, for example, the social media or email advertising, and analyzing the results to optimize your efforts. Effective marketing helps you generate leads, drive sales, and grow your business. Now, why are branding and marketing important for beginners? First thing is establishing a presence. So when you're just starting out, nobody knows excuse me, who you are or what you offer. So a strong branding and marketing help you introduce yourself to the market and make a memorable first impression. And the second is to build credibility. Consumers are more likely to buy from brands that they trust. So consistent branding and effective marketing help establish credibility and build trust with your target audience. The third thing is you standing out. In today's crowded marketplace, and it's crowded indeed, differentiation is key. So a well-defined brand identity and a strategic marketing approach help you stand out from your competitors and attract customers. You're into to marketing and business, you need to be driving sales. Because ultimately, the goal of branding and marketing is to drive sales and revenue. So, by effectively communicating your value proposition and engaging with your audience, you can turn leads into customers and grow your business. Then, the fifth thing is long term growth. So, if you're investing in branding and marketing from the beginning, it lays the foundation for long term success. It helps you to build a loyal customer base, expand your reach, and adapt to changing marketing conditions. In other words, agility. So, for beginners, focusing on branding and marketing is essential for building a strong foundation and setting the stage for sustainable growth. It is an investment that pays off in the form of increased awareness, customer loyalty, and revenue. Over to you, Gary.
Well, there you had it. I trust that you would have taken some notes on the points that Frank would have made. One of the things that I want to talk about, based on what Frank would have said, is the factor of differentiation. You really want to put a lot of emphasis on that particular point that he would have made. What makes you different in the market? And sometimes we hear that that differentiating factor is an exhausted conversation, but I want to say to you, with creative minds, you can find your differentiating factor. And once you're able to package that properly and present that to the audience, that can really set you up for success. When I come back, I will talk about two things. Now you build a brand, what is the next step? You've taken the time to research your ideal client, their needs, wants, and expectations, and you have built your value offer to lift up to the expectations of the ideal client. What's next? We'll talk a lot about visibility and we'll talk about brand reach because very often visibility is not necessarily reaching the ideal client. So I'll talk about that when I return. Peter, all to you. Your thoughts on the subject.
And morning again, audience. And it is always a wonderful, it's a pleasure being here, especially this time in the morning, to be communicating about matters that we believe can enhance the individuals who are out there who are receiving from this platform. Um, in the area of marketing and branding, and in from our perspective from the Human Growth Master Plan program, and the Human Growth Master Plan program is designed to empower individuals to understand just some basic elements, about ourselves as human beings. Every business that we do, we know the whole purpose for going into business is for human development. And let me repeat that again: every business exists for human development. Every businesses that are doing well, if you should advise, and a business that is well in the marketplace is basically a business that solves the biggest problems that human beings have. So if an individual as an individual is thinking of going into business, then we remind individuals that you're not going into business to make money. That cannot be the focus, the number one focus, that you're going into business to make money, because money is a result. Money is the result of something. Money is the result. People will want to give you money because you are doing something that they find empowering to their lives. So business is about life development. So with that, what we focus on is getting individuals to understand that life indeed is problematic. And life, we just look at what's happening in our world today. There are so many problems out there to be solved. And one of the reasons why there are so many problems out there to be solved, it's because most people have not yet discovered the big problem that they were designed, purpose that they were purpose. So the first thing that we want to do, even because if you're going to get to the brand, it's the branding of what, and the marketing is the marketing of what. So we want to assist individuals to first discover that yes, there is a big problem for every individual. So that's the beauty about life. Every individual can be when they discover the problem that they were born to solve. Now, the big problem is connected to people. So the problem that you are going to solve is connected to people. So now that you discover the purpose for your life or the big problem that you were born to solve, then you want to find people. You want to find a large amount of people that has that problem. And when you identify that large volume of people that has that problem, then you want to package and present the big solution that you have to the people who has the big problem that you are designed to solve. And then you want to promote and present your big solution to the big amount of people that you have the solution to their problem. So those stages it can be very fluent. It can be very fluent in the sense that you now understand that the people who are out there with a problem, and this is one of the biggest challenges, that a lot of people now want to know, okay, how do I start? Where do I initiate to discover the big problem that I was designed to solve? And often that we discover that it is hidden in our life, in our backstory. The problems that we were born to solve is oftentimes hidden in our backstory, in the sense that throughout life, how did you get here in the first place? where you are right now, for the beginner, where you are right now, for you just to get to the place where you are right now, it means that life has thrown a lot of challenges in your way. Life has really tested you, and you have to overcome a number of elements for you to get to where you are today. So, what are you going to brand if you want to really enter the marketplace? Look at the biggest challenges that you overcame in your life, because chances are there is a lot of people out there who right now they are praying, they're actually praying and seeking for somebody to help them to overcome those problems. And you have already overcome those problems. So now you need to connect with those people. Now you need to look at that and see how you can develop that challenge you have overcome, the all the elements that you were able to package. And that now is where the branding is going to come in, because yours is different. Chances are there are other persons who are dealing with that same, who are marketing or producing that same issue to the marketplace, but your unique perspective, your dynamic approach will make sense to a collection of people in the marketplace. And dare I to say that the marketplace, even though it might seem to be flooded, but no, because life picked you, and life gave you your experience, and life gave you your perspective, your unique perspective will become your brand in how you approach and how you present and how you connect with people. And then because of that, there will be a number of people in the marketplace who will be drawn to you on your perspective on the problem that they are having in their lives to solve. And hence you have initiated your solution, and you have initiated your branding, and you work on your marketing. And I will come back to that a little bit from here, how that can be expanded.
All right. Well, there you had it from the perspective of a theologist. And thanks for that share, Peter. As promised, you've built your brand, whether your corporate or your personal brand. You've taken the time to research the market needs, their wants, their expectations, and now you innovate a product and a service that aligns precisely with those needs. That is what we call some of the best practices in building a strong brand. And of course, Frank would have said there are so many moving parts that is going to help you to build that brand, because you want that brand to stand out. You want that brand to distinguish itself from other products and services in the market. And there are strategic things that you can do there. But let us suppose that you have all of that down, to a science. What is the next step? Now you have built a brand, it is important to build visibility, because very often you put so much of time and talent and resources into building that brand, and that brand is different from what anybody else is doing. But who knows that you have mastered your differentiating factor? No one knows, because you are not executing effectively on the concept that we call brand visibility. Now, what exactly is brand visibility? When we talk of brand visibility, there are four important platforms that should come to mind. You're not going to get visible in isolation from mass media. So it's important for you to understand mass media. Mass media meaning radio, television, and newspaper, and ensure that you're building advertising and marketing content to filter into this platform. However, I must put up a warning sign. Today, we are saying that very often in the mass media, we do not have the kind of platforms that allows you, the matrix, you want to be able to measure something that we call your advertising effectiveness. So you just don't put ads on radio. You just don't put ads on television. You just don't put ads onto you know, radio, television, newspaper, because you have the disposable income to do the placement of advertising. That's not the objective. You put the ad or place the ad across mass media because you want visibility, because you want reach, because you want impact, because you want client conversion, because you want cash flow optimization, because you want confidence, trust, and credibility. So these are the objectives behind your efforts to be visible. So if you don't pause as a brand specialist, a marketing specialist, to understand this, the possibility exists that you can be spending a lot of monies, all right, in brand visibility, and you're not achieving the effectiveness of it. So, in other words, I'm saying as you step out, you build a brand, and as you step out now to bring visibility to what you're doing, it's not enough to say that I have radio, television, and newspaper to my advantage. You want to be able to assess the effectiveness of mass media to help you to achieve your targeted performance outcome when it comes to advertising. So it's important to, if you are not the expert in this field, is to ensure that you're talking with an expert that can help you make better, smarter business and advertising decision, because the possibility exists that you could be investing hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in advertising and not achieve the objective. Again, when we look at the statistics, we see this happens across the world because your advertising copywriter, your advertising consultant, they have not provided that information to you, and your management team, you haven't taken the time to assess the effectiveness of the media. I said there's four things to consider here. So I talk a little bit about mass media. As you make attempt to become visible with your personal or corporate brand, you have another option which we call social media. With social media, you have things like Clubhouse, you have things like StreamYard, you have things that not StreamYard, sorry about that, but you have things like Facebook and YouTube, and you have a multiple of social media platforms that you can use to position your value offer in front of the ideal client. You have LinkedIn, you have all of these. Now, you find that with a lot of these social media platform, you have a different reality. In this context, it's good. Why? Because I could recall only recently I was doing some work on LinkedIn, and they send back to me what I call data of who I'm reaching, who is the clients that are actually looking at the content, and that's the kind of matrix that you need to make informed and educated business decision. And sadly, so today we're not getting that kind of data when we look at mass media. So you are rising star. You don't want to spend monies that you don't have already, spend money that you're struggling to get into a platform that is not going to give you the results. It's not designed to give you the results, or at least you don't have some predictability of what the results is likely to be like. Social media is different from the context that you are able to get data. For example, when we go to YouTube as one of the social media platforms, you are able to identify your target market based on age, based on gender, based on habits, some of the content that they are looking at. You're able to identify the demographic based on which part of the world they are viewing your content from, which city they're from. You're able to extract all of these data, which means that it helps you, the content creator, it helps you, the entrepreneur, it helps you, the advertiser, to make more educated and informed decision in terms of how you produce and place your ad. And just let me share an experience with you in terms of using the matrix and how it helps. When we start to produce content, and quite some time ago, we were just producing content. But when we go to the analytics, what we see is that we have a specific demographic that is consuming the content. As soon as you put the content out, they are consuming the content. What that helps us to do is to clearly identify who is the consumer, who is that the ideal client. And because we were able to identify that, and we were able to identify the content that they are more gravitating to, it tells us what to produce. And because it tells us what to produce, it helps us to build a better relationship with the ideal client. And because you're now able to build that better relationship with the ideal client based on the analytics, it's much easier now to convert your audience base into paying clients. All right. So having the data is so important because once you have the data, you're not producing content with a blindfold over your eyes. You're producing content because the data is showing that this is or are your ideal client interests. So I can't emphasize this enough for beginners. You need to have the data. You need to work with a research specialist that can talk to you about collecting sensitive data, that can talk to you about analyzing sensitive data, that can talk to you about leveraging sensitive data in the correct way, and can also talk to you about mitigating data because data do change, circumstances do change, and if the data is not being mitigated in accordance with the change, the possibility exists that you can be spending money where you should not be spending because you are not studying and adjusting your marketing campaign in alignment with what the data is saying. So I'm just going through the outlets that you have to enhance your visibility. Now you have the brand. What's next? You have all of these platforms in which you can gain visibility, mass media, social media. Depending on where you are in the world, the metaverse may or may not be relevant to you. I am certain that in the developed world, we are using the metaverse. There's so much that is being done in the metaverse. It's a whole world by itself, and you find a lot of young people, they gravitate to the metaverse. You find big company, top 100 companies, they're building out their advertising campaign in the metaverse because young people, their audience base, they're going to the metaverse. So I talked about this only recently. Let us suppose that you have a brand and the brand is targeting young people. And the traditional approach that you're using to reach young people is mass media and some aspect of social media. Yes, young people today, they're still on social media, but we have a lot of them that are going across to the metaverse. And if you are not shifting where your ideal clients are shifting, I just talked about that, guess what? You may have 25% of your audience base that gone move to another platform, or 50% of your audience base that shift to another platform. And because your advertising campaign is not shifting, you're not mitigating data to shift with them, guess what? Because other players are on those markets and they're positioning their products and services in front of your ideal client, you lose that entire market share because you are not there. So you need to understand the metaverse, and depending on where you are in the world, depending on if you are a local, national, regional, or international brand, again, depending on where you are in the world, you need to understand these concepts and leverage them to your advantage when you want to win in business and in life. The last concept that I will talk about here is that what I've shared with you is the three main platforms to enhance brand visibility, mass media, social media, the metaverse. Now, one thing for you to recognize as a beginner also is that none of these platforms you have ownership over them. You don't have ownership over mass media. A lot of things you can control here. You don't have ownership of the social media. A lot of things you cannot control here. And the metaverse, a lot of you don't own it. A lot of things you can control here. So the last concept that I want to talk about here is your ability to build what we're going to call independent visibility platforms, independent communication platforms. And this is where you are building out your funnel. So you're bringing persons from mass media, you're bringing persons from social media, you're bringing persons from the metaverse, and you're funneling them into your independent communication channel, meaning that you have client biodata that when they come into that funnel, it capture that data. So guess what? You now have that data, that biodata of all the clients. So if something is to go wrong in mass media, because radio station do breaks down, you know, newspaper do go out of business, television, things happen, especially in social media. You have a blackout moment, and that's the time you want to reach your ideal client. When you have your independent funnel and you have activated the client database by your data, you have many touch points in which you can reach out to the ideal client. All right, because you have your independent platform that is built up. So as you step out there to build your brand, you want to think about these things, and you want to think about it before things happen, not reacting to market realities. You want to think about these things before it happens. And I want to emphasize this. You need to focus on independent communication channel where you have that connection, that relationship with your ideal client. Of course, I'm giving a high level overview. When you come into our programs, we will give you a more detailed outline as to how you can go about this. With time, I'm going to turn to Frank and then to Peter, and then we're going to start to wrap up. And because I know we have to run up. Frank, all to you, my friend.
Thank you, Gary. So, what's next after building your brand through marketing? So, after successfully building a brand through marketing, there are several strategic directions you can consider to further grow and solidify your business. And the first thing is to expand your product or service line. Once you've established a loyal customer base with your initial offering, consider expanding that product or service line to cater to different needs or segments within your target market. And this allows you to capture a larger share of your customers' wallets and increase revenue. And the second thing is to diversify your distribution channels. So you need to explore new distribution channels to reach customers wherever they are. And this include selling through additional online platforms, partnering with retailers, or opening brick and mortar stores if applicable. You see, when you diversify your distribution channels, it reduces the dependency on any single channel and increases your brand's exposure. The third thing is to enter new markets. So if you have found success in your current market, you need to consider expanding into new geographic regions or demographic segments. Conduct market research to understand the needs and preferences of these new markets, and then you tailor your branding and marketing efforts accordingly. Focus on your customer experience. So you need to invest in delivering exceptional customer experiences at every touch point. from pre-sale interactions to post-sale support. Happy customers not only become repeat buyers, but also serves as brand advocates because they help you attract new customers through word of mouth referrals. Innovate and adapt. Stay ahead of the curve by continuously innovating your products, the services, and marketing strategies to meet evolving customer needs and industry trends. Keep a pulse on market developments, consumer preferences, and emerging technologies to identify opportunities for growth. Then build strategic partnership. Collaborate with complementary businesses or your influencers in your industry to extend your brand's reach and tap into new audiences. Strategic partners can help you leverage each other's strengths and resources to achieve mutual growth objectives. And finally, you have to measure and optimize. So you continuously monitor the performance of your branding and marketing efforts using key performance indicators, we say KPIs, such as sales metrics, customer engagement, and brand awareness. And so you use the data driven insights to identify areas for improvement and optimize your strategies for maximum impact. So by focusing on these strategies, after building your brand through marketing, you can continue to grow your business, strengthen your brand presence, and drive long-term success. Thank you, Gary.
All right, great points. Frank, you talk about vertical or horizontal amalgamation, which is a very unique way of building partnership relationship and helping to push the visibility of your brand. You talk about expanding your product line, and you see the beauty of having your database. All right, your independent communication platform that you have relationship with. It's very easy now to introduce new product into that market. So those are strategies that Frank would have shared that I certainly can endorse. You talk about expanding the market share geographically. It's easier to do that when you have a systematic approach. So I love those shares. Lastly, that I want to say, when you want to really grow and scale your brand, you must have clear goals. One of the things that I would say, you want to put yourself where you can define exactly what you want. Define it. That helps you to measure it because you can now measure, you can monitor. Because you can now monitor, you have better control over organizing activities towards achieving the end results. So it begins with the goal in mind. Peter, all to you, my friend.
Yeah, what the concept is solving problems um, in the marketplace, and what we want individuals to understand from a human growth master plan perspective. As we just said, every individual was born with a problem to solve, right? So we want individual, as far as where branding is concerned, responsibility. You've discovered, that big problem that a lot of the community has. Your responsibility is to be known as the go-to person for that big problem, because that is now how. So the question that we do ask people in our individuals in our program is, how will you be remembered after you are gone? You want to be able to be identified, where in any room, if somebody should have an issue and they need a recommendation, they should mention your name. The first thing when your issue or the market, your network of company If somebody in that room is having a particular issue, they remember um, uh, Gary guy. Gary is that guy. What you have done because you have hammered your name, your self, your memory. You have created a mold of yourself in people's mind. Because when you get around people, because you have discovered this big problem, then that's all you talk about. Branding, it's not, it can be very simple. Every conversation that you have, whether it is online, whether it is on your Facebook page, whether it is on your Instagram, when anyone come about you, because you are so full of it. You are so full of it, your solution, that is, and you want to be full of your solution so much that it is just pouring out of you. And when people come around you, you are just pouring into them the solution, the rich solution that you do have. And this requires that you do a lot of research around your expertise, your that body of information that you have. You are so full of that information that whenever anyone comes around you, it is just pouring out. And that is how you are going to be developing your branding. Another way by which you can identify is to understand also that every human problem comes in four basic in four basic areas. Um, every human being, every problem in the marketplace, it is either going to be a health related issue, or it is going to be a wealth related issue, or it is going to be a relationship related issue, or there's a fourth category that is not well spoken about in the areas that speak about this particular matter. It's going to be in the area of appointments. So it is going to be a health wealth relationship, or a matter of an of appointment, because appointment has to do with how you navigate your life through time. So you have to now package your expertise, whatever it is, that big problem that you were designed to solve. And you got to look in which of these areas, whether it can be identified in the area of a health matter that people are having, or you're going to attach it to a wealth matter, or a relationship matter, or a time, the use of time matter. When you begin to know, get in, so now you're going to niche down, you're going to get into a category where you can find, where people find you, where you can now begin to identify you at a more deeper level. Because a lot of products, you will find people's solution that it can be related to health, it can be related to wealth, it can be related to relationships or appointments, but though you want to pick one of these subcategories, and when you enter into that category, you want to penetrate that more, so that you are now going to be identified with an audience of people, that you can become a little bit more specific to a particular area in people's lives, that your big solution will render greater value to them.
All right, thanks for that share. And Peter, I'm going to now just briefly say, today we talk about branding and marketing for beginners. I trust that you have documented some of what was said and you have taken some notes. Now, what I quickly want to say, now you build a brand, what next? You're supposed to be investing in your visibility. But I want to say something here that might sound surprising. Visibility does not always convert into reaching the ideal client. I repeat this, visibility does not always convert into reaching the ideal client. Again, this is why the reason why I would have said early on, you need to understand the effectiveness of the communication channel that you're reaching. All right. So when you place your ads, your advertising, marketing content across uh, the communication spectrum, you want to be certain that it is really helping you to reach your ideal client. What really helps you to reach the ideal client is you knowing the buyer data markers of your ideal clients. All right. And when you know the buyer data marker of your ideal clients, it's better able to reach them. And let me give you an example. There are many persons that may look at news and they will never look at Young and the Restless. All right. They would never look at the Young and the Restless because that's not their buyer data type. But let us suppose that you want to reach the audience that is looking at Young and the Restless, but then you're putting your ads on news because you perceive it might be a prestigious thing to put yourself on news. So you put yourself there, but guess what? Your ideal client is not necessarily there. So these are some of the buyer data markers that you need to understand. This is a deep subject. We will not get into it now. It's a high level overview, but I just want you, the listening audience, to really understand. You rise and fall based on the right information. And our role here is to provide you with a content of information that will really help you to make smarter business and life decisions. So, with that being said, I want to thank Peter for being here today. And but just before I wrap up, I didn't get Frank to give us a chance to give his closing remarks and to also talk to us a little bit about the book that is about to be released. I always give you the last word here, my friend. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Um, we talk about marketing and branding, and let me just give you an example of the Apple product. That company excels in branding because the logo is instantly recognized, and the products are known for the sleek design, high quality. So Apple's brand identity goes beyond just its logo and its products. It's also reflected in the company's customer service and the way it communicates with its customers. You have also Coca-Cola, a company that excels in marketing. The company's iconic Share a Coke campaign, which involved printing people's names on Coke bottles, was a huge success. And the campaign generated a lot of buzz on social media and helped drive sales. So Coca-Cola's marketing strategy is focused on creating emotional connections with its customers, which has helped make the brand a household name. And while branding and marketing are different concepts, they are both important in promoting a product or service. A strong brand can help support a company's marketing efforts by creating a positive impression in the minds of customers. When a company has a strong brand, its marketing efforts are more effective because the customers already have a positive perception of the company or product. So ultimately, companies that excel in both branding and marketing are often the ones that are most successful in the marketplace. So by creating a unique identity and effectively promoting their product or service, these companies are able to build loyal customer bases and then drive sales. The book will be out shortly. Just a little tweaking with cover. The editing is completed, and so we'll be talking about things like these: how you can be an effective leader, how you can be the leader in branding and marketing, and so on. So when it's out, um, I know it's going to be a huge success with readers. And so, just like you, I'm excited, very excited on giving birth to this product. So, thank you, Gary.
Welcome, my friend. So, with that being said, I want to thank the audience who have been viewing this program across social media platform. And thank you for taking the time to be here. You could have been anyplace else, but you were here. And thanks for your support. I want to again encourage those who are viewing the program, but you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will be first to get the information that we are bringing to you on a regular basis. I want to thank Peter for always showing up and making his contribution to the conversation. He has a very unique way in which he looks at things from a theological standpoint. He's very passionate about empowering people. So you will often hear him talking about the master plan. Um, Thanks for sharing that. Frank, I also want to thank you for always showing up and bringing your perspective on leadership, on economics, on business, to really help our audience to have a better, clearer vision in terms of how to navigate the world of business and to navigate the world, the life itself. So I want to thank you. And with that being said, today is Tuesday. You guys have a great week ahead, and we do this again tomorrow. So for the audience, see you tomorrow, same time, 7 a.m. EST, for another exciting program on habits and money. See you guys.